All right, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shah, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shah, Kahala, Yahweh Yahweh Shah. That's all praises unto the Most High and His beloved Son, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. I'm going to give double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone. Peace, blessings, and citations be to the hopeful elect. And this video is going to be on Deuteronomy 28, the curses. All right. First, we're going to go to Deut 11. All right, let's go to 26, verse 26. All right, verse 26. Behold, I set before you this day a blessing and a curse. A blessing if you obey the commandments of the Lord your God, which I command you this day. And a curse if you will not obey the commandments of the Lord your God, but turn aside out of the way which I command you this day to go after other gods, which ye have not known. So as we see through the Spirit, precepts, through the scriptures, that the Most High set before the children of Israel a blessing and a curse. He said he will bless you if you obey the commandments, and he will curse you if you choose not to obey the commandments. All right. Let's go to Deut 28, where the curses are. All right, go to verse 15. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. So like we just read in Deuteronomy 11 and 26 to verse 28, the Lord has set aside the Israelites a blessing and a curse. The Israelites are cursed because we did not keep the commandments, and we still are cursed, to this day. So that's why we were cursed. Verse 16. Cursed shall thou be in the city, and cursed shall thou be in the field. And when it says cursed shall thou be in the city, it's talking about like who's living in the ghettos, the so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans. That's why we live in the slums. We're killing each other. We live in poverty. We drugged out. We had a low estate. All right. And cursed shall thou be in the field. It's talking about our working place, where, the first fire, last hire, because we're cursed as a nation. That's why it's so hard for a so-called black, Latino, Native American to get a job in society, because of white privilege. If you're not of white, if you're not a white man, etc., they're going to look over you. They're going to, put, hire the white man first. And not to mention that an Edomite, you can get in trouble at work and not get fired, but let a Jake, get in trouble at work, he's going to fired on the spot, That's just how it is, though. Verse 17. Cursed shall be thy basket and thy store. That goes into our bank accounts. We don't own anything, we don't own any stores. And if we do, they'll end up closing down or falling, for bankruptcy. Right? And there's going to be some of you niggas talking about, like how your grandma owned a business or whatever, and it hasn't got, shutting down or falling for bankruptcy or nothing like that. But for the, majority of the part for Jakes, that's how it is. Most of our businesses get shut down. All right, verse 18. Cursed shall be the fruit of thy body, and the fruit of thy land, the increase of thy kind, and the flocks of thy sheep. And when it says cursed shall be the fruit of thy body, it's talking about how our children are going to be cursed, And when it says, and the fruit of thy land, it's talking about how we don't get a lot of crops, And the flocks of thy sheep, even our, our animals are going to be cursed because we don't own anything in this society. I don't want to hear when you bug out niggas talking about, when you on your dog, but talking about, like agriculture and shit like that. All right. Verse 19. All right. Cursed shall thou be when thou comest in, and cursed shall thou be when thou goest out. So when you are born into this life, you're going to be cursed. The curses are going to follow, Israel through our pedigrees. And when it says, cursed shall thou be when thou goest out. So you're cursed when you come into this life, and you're going to be cursed when you leave as well. All right. Verse 20. The Lord shall send upon thee cursing, vexation, and rebuke, and all that thou settest thine hand unto for to do, until thou be destroyed, and until thou perish quickly, because of the wickedness of thy doings, whereby thou hast forsaken me. Because we forsook the Most High, anything that we touch will be destroyed. Instead of us having our own land, and our own agriculture, anything we touch will be destroyed. Verse 21, the Lord shall make the pestilence cleave unto thee, until he have consumed thee from off the land, whither thou goest to possess it. Sickness. A lot of Israelites having high blood pressure. A lot of us dying from heart attacks, and a lot of us are, dying from STDs as well. It's curses. All right, verse 22. The Lord shall smite thee with a consumption, and with a fever, and with an inflammation, and with an extreme burning, and with a sword, and with blasting, and with mildew, and they shall pursue thee until thou perish. We're going to have all these things: sickness, burning, inflammation, the sword, a bunch of evil spirits upon us, demons and cursings. A lot of us have demons, evil spirits and things like that on us right now. All right, verse 23. And thy heaven that is over thy head shall be brass, and the earth that is under shall be iron. All right. Because let's go into our prison cells, because we go into those prison cells, and when you look up, you see brass. And when you look down, it's iron. We're talking about them prison cells. Verse 25, let's go to verse 25. The Lord shall cause thee to be smitten before thine enemies. Thou shalt go out one way against them, and flee 7 ways before them, and thou be removed into all the kingdoms of the earth. So instead of our enemies serving us and our enemies bowing down to us, they're going to be coming against us. With the curses the Most High, is using against the enemy to smite Israel. The ones who do not obey the commandments, these other nations are supposed to be serving us, but we're serving them right now because we weren't, keeping the commandments. So now we're put under a curse. All right. Verse 26, and thy carcass shall be meat unto all fowls of the air, and unto the beasts of the earth, and no man shall fray them away. Because when they used to kill us in slavery, they used to just, lay our bodies out there and rot and let the fowls of the air, that's how they used to do our bodies. The hawks and the vultures, eat us up. And not to mention, they used to let the pigs eat us too. And they still do that to this day. I seen on Twitter, I mentioned this in my last video. I seen on Twitter that some pigs were eating a dead body. But, this is how that is. All right, verse 28. The Lord shall smite thee with madness and blindness and astonishment of heart. Okay. Everywhere you go in the city, you'll see the craziest, nigga, Mexican, or even Native American. Them niggas are angry as hell. And blindness. Our people can't see the truth. People are so blind, to who they really are and the truth. Niggas are out here bugged out. And astonishment of heart. They have an astonishment of their mind. Niggas are always mad. All right, verse 29. And thou shalt grope at noonday, as the blind gropeth in darkness. And thou shalt not prosper in thy ways, and thou shalt be only oppressed and spoiled evermore. And no man shall save thee. No man was going to save us out of our captivity. And, even now during this day, the only one that can save you is Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shah. No physical man can save us from these curses, but the Most High. All right. Verse 30. Thou shalt betroth a wife, and another man shall lie with her. Thou shalt build an house, and thou shalt not dwell therein. Thou shalt plant a vineyard, and shalt not gather the grapes thereof. Meaning, you would have a promise made to a wife, and the slave masters would rape, our women in front of us. They'd be doing all types of wicked shit like that. And that was a curse placed upon us because we didn't, want to listen to the Most High. And when it says, thou shalt build an house, and thou shalt not dwell therein, because we used to build their houses, and we still do build their houses, but we don't live in them, right? Thou shalt plant a vineyard, and thou shalt not gather the grapes thereof. We still plant vineyards and we still don't gather the grapes thereof. The Israelites, the so-called Mexicans, are always out there on the field collecting strawberries, grapes, things like that just to give to Esau. All right, verse 31. Thine ox shall be slain before thine eyes, and thou shalt not eat thereof. Thine ass shall be violently taken away from before thy face, and shall not be restored to thee. Thy sheep shall be given unto thine enemies, and thou shalt have none to rescue them. When it says thine ox shall be slain before thine eyes, and thou shalt not eat thereof. We had, but that was taken away from us. They would kill our flock. Like what is the Spaniards, the conquistadors, when they came over to so-called Mexico, as you know today, they killed all their flocks, they killed all their agriculture, and they took their land. And when the Northern Kingdom was living in the Americas peacefully, before the so-called white man came, they had a bunch of animals in agriculture. But when the white man came in, and took over this land, they took all our animals and land by force. Verse 32. Thy sons and thy daughters shall be given unto another people, and thine eyes shall look and fail with longing for them all the day long, and there shall be no might in thine hand. This happened during, the two main slave trades, and our sons and our daughters were given it to another people because they sold us on auction blocks, and we could do nothing about it. But a so-called white man will rape your wife, take your children and sell them, on the auction blocks. All right, let's go to verse 36. All right, verse 36. The Lord shall bring thee and thy king which thou shalt set over thee unto a nation which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, and there shalt thou serve other gods, wood and stone. Verse 37, and thou shalt become an astonishment, a proverb, and a byword among all nations, whether the Lord shall lead thee. Right, so we became an astonishment, a proverb and a byword. Proverb, if you want to, like, with the so-called black man, if you want to hide something from a nigga, put it in a book. Or a Mexican, a Mexican always got a knife on them. And before we called ourselves, Haitian, Puerto Rican, Dominican, Mexican, etc., we had Hebrew names, like Judah, Ephraim, Issachar, Benjamin, Simeon, Levi, etc. Now you can look up, the 12 tribes chart, right, and it'll tell you all the names of, the tribes. All right, and these are, them were our Hebrew names. We had a God-given nationality, but that was taken from us due to us not obeying the commandments. All right, and there's gonna be some people, asking like, why would you serve a God that's gonna send curses upon you? It's the same thing with your damn daddy. If you're not listening to your daddy, he's gonna bust your ass. That's the same thing with God. He's gonna send curses upon us, because he loves us. All right. Verse 41. Yeah, we're gonna jump to verse 41. Thou shalt beget sons and daughters, but thou shalt not enjoy them, for they shall go into captivity. We would have children, and the so-called white man would instantly sell our children into slavery. This was documented in history, and it was also prophesied to happen in the scriptures. All right. Verse 43. The stranger that is within thee shall get up above thee very high, and thou shalt come down very low. The heathens are far more above us. We're at the lowest estate in this society. That's why you see us living in the ghettos and shit. Not to mention that, a so-called Chinese man or Arab can come over here to America, and be way more wealthy than a so-called Black, Latino, Native American man. But, you know how that shit go. All right, let's go to verse 44. He shall lend to thee, and thou shalt not lend to him. He shall be the head, and thou shalt be the tail. The elites of this world don't have to get a bank loan. They own a damn bank. They lend to us because we don't have anything to give them. They stole everything from us. When it says he shall be the head and thou shalt be the tail, because they're at the top and the Israelites are at the bottom. All right. Verse 45. Moreover, all these curses shall come upon thee, and shall pursue thee, and overtake thee, till thou be destroyed, because thou hearkenest not unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to keep his commandments and his statutes which he commanded thee. All right, verse 46. And they shall be upon thee for a sign and for a wonder, and upon thy seed forever. So, for instance, say if you drive down the street and you see a Walgreens, the only reason you're going to know it's a Walgreens is because of the sign. That's how we know we're Israelites, because the curses and the signs, only fit the Israelites. If we go to Deuteronomy, all right, let's go to 68. Where's it at? All right, verse 60. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships by the way whereof I spake it to thee. Thou shalt see it no more again. Talking about our homeland, we're not going to see our homeland again. And there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you. That only fits one specific type of people. That doesn't fit the so-called white man. The Israelis that you see over there in Israel today, gutter rats, whatever the hell they're called. That doesn't fit them. They fit none of the curses. All right. Let's go to verse 48. All right. Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee, in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness and in want of all things. And he shall put a yoke of iron around thy neck until he have destroyed thee. So anything that you want in society, you have to go to the so-called white man for it. Say, if you thirsty, you know what I'm saying, you want some Kool-Aid or something, you got to go, to the so-called white man's store to get that. Say if you're hungry, you want some McDonald's, which your ass shouldn't be eating on McDonald's anyway. Telling what they put in that. But say if you want to go to get something to eat, you got to go to the so-called white man's, restaurant or store, whatever it may be. Say if you want some clothes, a lot of niggas buying Gucci and shit, and you got to go to the so-called white man for that. The white man know them, they know everything, pretty much. And in one of all things, and he shall put a yoke of iron around thy neck until he have destroyed thee. This is physical and spiritual, because they're in slavery. I'll look it up. Yoke of iron. They used to actually do this to us in slavery. If you try to run, that shit'll blow your head off. All right, let's go one right here. That ain't no good picture. Here's a better one. Let's go one right there. Shit right here. Where else? There's some more of them. Hold up. Know what I'm saying? And that yoke of iron, it's like that yoke of iron is gonna, destroy us, mentally as well. That's why we're destroyed as a people, acting the way we act and shit, acting all ignorant, and because they kept this truth away from us. You know what I'm saying? Hey man, that's Esau for you right there. All right, let's go to verse 49. The Lord shall bring a nation against thee from far, from the end of the earth, as swift as an eagle flieth, a nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand. Right, because we spoke Hebrew. When Esau, the so-called white man, came, he was speaking English and Spanish, but we spoke Hebrew. And when it says as swift as an eagle flieth, and when you look, at the back of your dollar bill, it has an eagle on it, which is, America's symbol. Right, verse 50. A nation of fierce countenance, which shall not regard the person of the old, nor show favor to the young. Right, because they are brute beasts. They would feed our children to alligators, as bait. And I'm gonna pull that up as well. Hold up. Children. Bear with me. All right, here go one right here. They used to actually do this shit to our babies, feed them as alligator bait, just so they can get some damn boots, boots or a belt. They used to actually do this. I'll tell you this right now: if you really wake up to this truth and you defend the so-called white man, you need your ass whooped for real, for real. All this shit they do to us, man. All right, we're gonna continue on. All right, they also they used to hang us by 12s, feed our babies to pigs, and then later feed that same pig to our children, So fucking eat what the so-called white man is. Esau, Edom. The so-called white man is the devil, the wicked that the Bible speaks of. But there's gonna be some jakes out here, too dumb to realize that, until he let some shit off on them, start mowing niggas down. But hey, you're gonna jump to verse 51. Hold up. All right, okay. All right, verse 51. And he shall eat the fruit of thy cattle and the fruit of thy land until that be destroyed, which also shall not leave thee either corn, wine, or oil, or the increase of thy kind, or flocks of thy sheep, until he have destroyed thee. Right, because they robbed us of every damn thing. They took like our land, agriculture, you name it, shit, Verse 64. Let's jump to verse 64. My fault if I'm going a little fast, just going at a high pace. All right, verse 64. And the Lord shall scatter thee among all people, from the one end of the earth unto the other, and there thou shalt serve other gods, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone. Right, because we were scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. Israelites are amongst all nations, because we were scattered during slavery. Slakia. Trying to talk to them fast. Right? Hold up. We're gonna look up this real quick. Alright. This is John 3:16. For Yahweh so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish, but he have everlasting life. When he's talking about the world, like I just showed you that, the Israelites were scattered amongst every nation, amongst the four corners of the earth. That's why the Most High is talking to the world. He's not talking to every nation, not the so-called white man, Arab, Chinese, Japanese, you name it. He's not talking to them. He's talking to, the Israelites that are scattered amongst the four corners of the earth. So we're going to clear that up. Hold up. Okay. All right. Go back to Deut 28. Get back on topic. All right. We're going to go to verse 67. My fault if I'm everywhere. Just trying to make this as edifying as possible. All right, verse 67. And in the morning, thou shalt say, would Yahweh it were even. And at evening, and at evening, thou shalt say, would Yahweh it were morning. For the fear of thine heart, wherewith thou shalt fear, and for the sight of thine eyes, which thou shalt see. So when we will wake up, we will be praying that the day will be over already. And when we woke up in the morning, we were praying that, that the morning and shit, will be speeding up, because, who would enjoy that day, because of fucking slavery. Right? Verse 68. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, by the way whereof I spake unto thee. Thou shalt see it no more again, and there shall be, and there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bond women. For bond men and bond women, and no man shall buy you. We just went into that. But let's go to Exodus 20:1 real quick to show you what the word Egypt means. All right. Verse 1. And Yahweh spake all these words, saying, I am the Lord thy God, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. So the word Egypt means bondage. That's what that word means. We're gonna go to 68. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with the ships. All right, we've already been to Egypt again, we've already been to Egypt, one time. So it's not actually talking about the physical land of Egypt. It's talking about spiritual, which is America. You can see that on the back of your dollar bill. They even follow the ways of Egypt. And like another word for bondage, is like slavery and captivity. The Lord said he was going to bring us into captivity again with the ships. Who the only people, that came into, captivity with ships, so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans. And when it says, thou shalt see it no more again, meaning he was never going to see the homeland again, our homeland again, Salakia, which is Israel. Didn't come from no damn Africa. All right. And whenever we reached, the docks, we were sold into our enemies, which is our enemies is a so-called white man, and that's clear. All right. But yeah, man, that's pretty much it for this breakdown. Shit, Lord willing, it was edifying, All you brothers that's been, in the truth longer than what I have, hey, correct me. Correct me if I've, if I broke down anything wrong. But yeah. All right, Shalom.